ask you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what do they ask you? Concerning Allah. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي. Who is asking? Ibadi, my slaves. When my slaves ask you concerning me, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Verily, verily, I am close to them. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I answer the call of the one who calls upon me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Therefore, let them answer my call. وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. And let them believe in me. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. A chance they may be guided. Brothers and sisters, if we look at these verses, normally in the Quran we find whenever we have the question, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ. 11 places in the Quran Allah says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ or يَسْأَلُونَكَ. That sort of siga, when they ask you. And everyone more or less has qul, say. This is the only place in the Quran where there's a question and there's no qul. What's the sir behind that? The sir behind that is Allah is so close to His slaves that they ask Him, as soon as they ask Him, He can answer them. So the qul, as if it's saying that would mean that there would be some barrier between them. The fact that there's no qul means there's no barrier. Everything else, there is a qul. In this case, there isn't. Allah is telling us that He's close to us. And if you look at this, in this ayah, one of the things that you feel is how Allah cares about His slaves, ibadi. You know, when somebody denotes something to himself, there is endearment in it. You know, when you say to your son, "Oh my son," there is in that this love and care which is found in that ibadah. Allah is saying it, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Allah is saying to His slaves, my slaves. Allah is showing His care and His love for His creation. And that's from His fadl, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, what we find that Allah is saying, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. I am close. I am not far from them. You know, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us in many a verse, or many a hadith about how Allah is quick to answer the call of His slaves. All they have to do is begin to call whenever they are ready, and He's ready to answer. There's no need for appointments. If you think about it, in this dunya, the example of this dunya, you want to see somebody, he could be the most insignificant person, but he will give you a time. This time I'm free. But Allah is the only one. Whenever you are ready, all you have to do is call upon Him, and He'll answer you. And not just that. You know, sometimes people we see, they have this barrier that stops them from making dua, because they say to themselves, I'm sinful, how will Allah answer me? But this ayah also tells us, this is not just the Muslims, but even the non-Muslim, when he calls upon Allah, Allah answers his call. So how about the Muslim? Even if he is answered, even if he is sinful, Allah will answer his call. The other thing that we also learn, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the qudra to answer. He has the ability to answer. Other people, we look at the dunya, the example of the dunya, somebody may not be able to answer everything that you want, but Allah has left it mutlaq. Ask me whatever you want, because I'm able to do anything and everything. Allah is able to do anything and everything, whenever He wants to. لا يعجزه شيء. Nothing stops Him. Also, brothers and sisters, if you look at this ayah, the ayah says, دعوة الداعي إذا دعان. إذا دعان. The problem that we have today is, many of us, we've abandoned dua. Allah is telling us, when they call upon me, I will answer them. Many of us now, we abandon dua. We don't even make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yet you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ, from the point he woke up to the point he went back to sleep. All of his day was in dua. Throughout the whole of all of the ibadat, his du'as for the morning and the evening, from the time that he woke up, he made dua. Wudu, there is dua. In the prayer, there is dua. In every single action, there is dua. So the slave is encouraged to make dua. Today we have abandoned dua. And Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam orders us to make dua. But in particular, Allah says, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. I want us to note something. There are mawatin in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to his slaves and that his dua is answered. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put this ayah of dua in between the fasting, the ayat of fasting. What's the hikmah behind that? The Prophet told us that there are 3 people whose dua will never be rejected. 3 people. Their dua will never be rejected. One of those people is the Sa'im, the faster, the one who is fasting. You fast one day, you have a dua which is going to be answered. You fast 30 days, but Allah not answering your dua. So Allah is encouraging the believer that this is your opportunity, drawing closer to you. And the second thing also I wanted to add to that was, the closest that a person is to Allah is when he's in sajda. And what do we do in Ramadan? We do lots of sajdas. Why? Because we're making qiyam. So this is the opportunity to make dua. And this is why you find that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his qiyam, in his prayer, he would make a long sajda. The long sajda was for what? The opportunity to dua. Because you're the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that time. This is something that unfortunately the spirit of which has been lost. Because we're so keen to finish the prayer so people can go home. Which okay to some extent is understandable. But let us not lose the ruh, the spirit of the worship, which is to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be close to Him. Now at the end of the verse there are 2 things. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. Let them answer my call. Allah has ordered you with some things, with faith, and with righteous actions. Those things which Allah has ordered upon you, you have to do them. That's His condition. وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. And this is dhikr al-khas part of Am is فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Answer my call. Part of that call is al-iman. But then Allah specifically says after, وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. So iman is from istajaba. It has given special dhikr here because of its importance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then tells us, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. This is the way they will be guided. Blessed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people who give the truth, recognize the truth, give us the 50 times about also be the people who give the falsehood, recognize the falsehood, give us the